Hello everyone, back tuning in today's third video actually. We started off this morning having a verification for the autumn 2017 forecast. So that closes the door on the autumn. Then we did a week ahead forecast as always on a Saturday, having a look at the weather for the week ahead. And what came through there is that overall the week is going to be quite unsettled and changeable, maybe even stormy at times. And then at the end of the week and into next weekend, lots of uncertainty. It might get colder. And we may pull in some easy winds. And I said we'd have a look at the midday runs and see what they have to say about a chance of colder conditions in around a week's time. So that's what we're going to do for tonight. So I'm going to go through the GFS ensembles. We'll try and get through them as quickly as I can. I'm going to start off having a look at the operational run of the GFS. From the midday run, let's just quickly change that over because that's the 6 o'clock run. So I'm going to run you through the midday run of the GFS operational first of all. And then we'll have a look at the GFS ensemble, see how much support that scenario has. So we begin by having a look at the operational GFS. We start on Wednesday and it's showing winds coming in from a northwesterly direction. In fact, let's go over to here. We actually have a look at the operational GFS just here. So if we have a look at op there. So we're starting off at the end of next week with the operational GFS, and we can see we've got low pressure centred over the country. I've got a bit of a ridge building to our north and out to the west as well. This low pressure brings a lot of heavy rain, maybe snow for parts of Scotland with those easterly winds on Friday. By Saturday, that low pressure is moving away to the southeast. The winds are turning into the northeast. That's bringing cold air down across many parts of the country. And then we do get that high pressure, albeit it's quite a weak one, but we get the high pressure to Scandinavia and we pull the winds in from the east. That's not a beast from the east. It's not really cold easily, but it's pretty chilly and it's probably enough to bring at very least wintry showers into the west, and you'd have some quite hard night frost with that as well. Now, gone to Monday the 8th, and low pressure is starting to move in from off the Atlantic, coming against that cold block. So this could well be a snow event that's going on here. It would depend on the exact parameters, but that's the kind of thing we look for to be producing a snow event, because that's bringing low pressure in off the Atlantic. The low pressure has weather fronts sort of stalling as they're hitting that cold air. There's a centre of a Scandinavian high up to 1,040 millibars. So that looks pretty snowy there around the 8th, 9th of January. So that's quite an interesting situation. Then we go through to the 11th. We're bringing another low pressure through. Look there. That again on its northern flank could be bringing more snow to some parts of the country. That one slides away to the south, and then we re-establish a westerly flow. Of course, we go back into those westerly winds in the extended part of the GFS. That's a very long way off and wouldn't be worth worrying about in that kind of situation. So midday run of the GFS, the operational run, was pretty cold, and it looked like there could be some snow events in there as well. Let's see how much support that has. So this is the control member of the GFS ensembles, which is at a slightly lower resolution compared to the operational. We're going to begin with all of these on the 5th of January, starting with low pressure over the country. And cold easy winds in across Scotland might be bringing snow there as early as Friday. That low pressure slips away to our southeast, and we pull in a really bitter northeasterly wind there. That's coming out of Scandinavia. That will probably be driving snow showers in across England and Wales up to Monday the 6th of January. And then we keep it quite cold as we go up towards day 10. This takes us to Tuesday the 9th. High pressure established over Scandinavia. Low pressure again having a go coming from off the Atlantic, and that could be producing a snow event as it comes up against that cold air. Another low pressure on the 11th is again probably producing snow, but this one then starts to establish milder winds from the Atlantic, and then we go back into quite a stormy spell of weather. Although notice by the time we get through to the end of the control run of the GFS, Monday the 15th, we're going back to square one. That low pressure is moving through the country and winds going back into the north again. So it's cold through most of it, briefly a milder interlude, and then cold by the time we get through to the end of the control run of the GFS. This is ensemble member number 1. Looks very unsettled at the end of the week. Probably quite cold for the north as well. Let's run through. And yes, the winds do turn into the east during the weekend of the 6th and 7th of January. A proper easterly wind establishing there. Quite a cold one. And that continues into that second week of January. So again, there could be snow showers at the very least being dragged in with that. We're running up into the extended range. We're keeping this cold weather going under this area of high pressure, a very long-lasting ridge. That's a really cold run, ensemble member number 1, cold up to the 15th of January. This ensemble member number 2, this one again, it is moving low pressure through the country, turning things cold the weekend of the 6th and the 7th of January. But this one collapses the ridge very quickly, so by the time you get through to Tuesday the 9th, we're already re-establishing southwesterly winds. However, the Scandinavian high isn't done with us, and it's battling on. So as we're going up to the middle part of January, it's still there over Scandinavia, threatening to pull winds back into the east. This ensemble member number 3, and it looks pretty cold and wintry. Winds in from the east for next weekend. They could bring snow showers to parts of the country, and then we head up into the second week of January. And we keep a lot of anticyclonic influences going there, albeit shifting more to our south and southwest. So that one does turn milder through the second week of January. This is ensemble member number 4, and again, this one has low pressure close to the country over the weekend of the 6th to 7th of January. Doesn't really pull in most cold easterly winds, though. Then we go into the second week of January, and it looks quite mild and stormy. So obviously, this one is a much more unsettled ensemble member number 4. No real cold weather coming through with that, just very unsettled, quite stormy. Ensemble member number 5 looks like that, so again putting down those cold northerly winds over the weekend of the 6th, 7th of January. Then the southwests start to come back, so it turns milder through the second week of January, and then high pressure building up from the south. So that's a different solution. That's bringing a lot of dry, probably quite frosty weather, maybe with some freezing fog, but we don't get those cold easy winds. Ensemble member number 6 looks like that, so this one taking the low pressure to our south and pulling in those easterly winds as well as we go into the second week of January. It's looking quite cold. Then low pressure heading in from off the Atlantic. Could be some snow in with that. And then high pressure bridging through the country. We finish up like that on the 15th of January, start to re-establish southwest winds. That's a pretty cold one. Ensemble member number 6. Ensemble number 7 looks stormy on Friday, and then that low pressure slipping away to the southeast, and we turn things colder for a time over next weekend before milder winds come back in. So that was just a little brief cold snap, and then we're back up and running into the mild Atlantic flow. So there's various solutions on offer, but most of these summers are looking cold, at least for next weekend. This is ensemble member number 8. Looks very wet and probably snowy for the north. On Friday, that low pressure gets out of the way. We pull in those north to northeasterly winds next weekend, so that's a cold weekend. And then we take the high pressure up towards Scandinavia, bringing in easterly winds through the second week of January. Those easterly winds look like they're well and truly established there, even going up to the 12th of January. Still bitter with those easterly winds. That's bringing snow across many parts of England and Wales, I think. And then the high pressure sort of ridging down across the country, going up to the middle part of January, keeping us mostly dry, cold and frosty. That's a very cold one on ensemble member number 8. Ensemble member number 9 looks stormy on Friday, and we're going to take that low pressure to our east, and it's going to be a cold weekend, therefore, next weekend. Then we go into the second week of January. Got the high pressure in over Scandinavia. Quite a weak one, though. So low pressure coming back in. After that cold weekend, it turns milder. Maybe with some snow to start off with, but it does turn milder from the Atlantic, although that doesn't last too long, and overall high pressure remains quite close to us, both to the east and to the west. That's a different solution again. It's a bit in between, but there is some cold weather on offer. This is number 10, and we find that the low pressure is slipping to our south next weekend, pulling in those winds from the east, so they're bringing wintry showers into eastern parts of the country. Then we go into the second week of January, and we find very quickly the Atlantic is starting to have a go at breaking through, and it does get through quite quickly. So this one, again, it's another different solution. This one had high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north. Actually turns quite mild through the second week of January. See all the different scenarios that the model is playing with. This is number 11. This one's cold for next weekend, with the winds coming in from the east. There could be wintry showers in with that. High pressure is up over Scandinavia as well. Then low pressure's having a go at getting in, but it's stalling, and that's producing a snow event around Tuesday, 9th of January. That looks really wintry and snowy across parts of the country. And then the Atlantic does break through. So we go through to 11th, 12th of January, extended range, and we're pushing the Atlantic through, turning milder, wetter, windier, off and running with the Atlantic stuff. Number 12 looks like that. So this one doesn't really pull down much in the way of cold air next weekend. But we do start to try and generate that ridge over Scandinavia. However, it doesn't really come to much. So this one is a milder scenario. Look how stormy it gets there, which is the 12th of January. Real storms, severe gales battering the country, and that one's a milder and unsettled scenario, number 12, quite stormy too. This is number 13, looks stormy on Friday. That low pressure, is it going to get out of the way and allow the winds to get into the east? It doesn't really, so it's not overly cold the next weekend, and again we start to run the Atlantic through as we go through the second week of January. That's quite mild and unsettled, number 13, not much in the way of cold weather doing there. This is number 14. This one has low pressure over the country on Friday. Where do we take that low pressure? Let's carry on running through. We take it to our east. So this one does have those cold easterly winds next weekend, bringing wintry showers at the very least into eastern parts of the country. Once that's established, the key is to getting that easterly in next weekend. Once that's established, then the Atlantic struggles to get in. So here we are on the 9th of January. The Atlantic's trying to come back in, but it's coming up against that cold block, and that's a snow event, therefore, that's going on there on the 9th of January. The Atlantic does eventually break through. By the 13th, we're off and running into stormy conditions. This is number 15, has low pressure over country on Friday. That low pressure slips away to our south. There's the easterly wind coming in. That's bringing in wind showers to eastern parts of the country. Then low pressure tries to get in from the Atlantic. For a while it struggles, so that's probably some sort of snow event going on there. Then low pressure continues to be close to the country, but within a milder air mass for a time before the Scandinavian high comes back, and we pull those winds back into the east. It's not really sorted out even by the 15th. We've still got the big ridge over Scandinavia, still got low pressure in the Atlantic, so the two air masses are battling it out with one another. This is 16, and it shows that low pressure is moving away to our east. We're turning pulling in some briefly colder air next weekend. Doesn't really come to a great deal though, so this is a much milder solution. Ensemble number 16, a lot of anticyclonic influences, but to our south, that's generally quite a mild one. This is number 17, looks quite stormy for Friday, but again, not pulling in those easterly winds next weekend particularly. So what happens with this one, Ensemble member number 17, is that it's generally mild and stormy going into the second week of January before the low pressure dies away. It takes longer to get there, but look where we finish up with Ensemble member number 17. We finish up with a lot of blocking to our north. Winds are in from the north as well, so that takes longer to get there, but it does get very cold eventually by the middle of January. Number 18 looks like that. So again, this one is going to take that low pressure to our south. We're going to pull in the easterly winds on this one. They're not overly cold easterly winds, so low pressure very quickly starts to move back in from off the Atlantic, so we finish up pretty stormy and eventually trying to get cold again. That's very similar to number 17. Number 17 and 18 delay the cold getting in, but by mid-month we are going to a cold blocked situation. This is number 19. We're nearly at the end now, so this one not much in way of cold weather next weekend, and then the second week of January looking very unsettled and stormy, but you'll notice that all the time we are having the risk at least of putting down cold northerly winds. And then finally number 20 looks like that. Low pressure's down quite a long way to the southwest on Friday, so even as early as Friday things aren't sorted out. That could be bringing snow to parts of northern England and Northern Ireland on Friday. That low pressure gets out of the way. We turn the winds into the north and the northeast for next weekend, cold weekend therefore, and then after that the winds come in from the east. That keeps things pretty cold into the second week of January. And then what happens with this one is that the high pressure moves over towards Eastern Europe and we start to bring milder air back in from off the Atlantic. Overall looking pretty cold there through most of these ensemble members. The key, I think, initially is next weekend. So we've got this low pressure coming in on Friday. Its exact track is going to be critical. If it just stays in situ over country, but away from Northern Scotland, we won't have much in the way of cold weather. Most of these ensemble members, however, want to take this low pressure to our south and east, and the ridge builds behind it, and that gets the winds either into the north or into the east. So I think there's a pretty good chance that we're going to have quite a cold weekend next weekend. And then where it goes beyond that is uncertain. I think what may well happen is that we'll try to generate a Scandinavian high through the early part of next week, so the second week of January, if you like, and we'll move the Atlantic in quite quickly. There may be a snow event involved with that. I think eventually the Atlantic gets through quite quickly, however, and we probably go back into sort of a stormier spell running up to the middle part of the month. But by mid-month, we may well be going cold again. It's that sort of on-off winter. We've had it through December. I think we'll continue to have it through January. We'll have regular cold incursions, but also with regular moderation. So it really is a winter that's keeping us on our toes. Very interesting winter indeed. And expect more cold weather through January. That's the message, and probably snow at times as well, albeit probably not locking in for an extended run of severe cold and snowy weather. Famous last words. Right, tomorrow we've got the first season one roundup for the spring, so you'll have your first little snapshot of spring 2018, and that'll be tomorrow morning. Then tomorrow afternoon I'll do one final video looking at the week to 10-day time frame and just really closing the door on 2017. Alright, that's all for now. Thanks for watching.